So let's start. In the past few days, we have tried to understand the nature of the fellowship, then the society that we are living in, why it is so, and the true unified, interconnected nature of this universe yesterday. Today, we shall attempt to explore role, the role of an individual on this fascinating gargantuan stage of life. So today's talk would be a slightly autobiographical talk, because till today I was talking about general life and values and various things, conditioning in life and various things. But today I am going to talk more about how that has been interpreted to some extent in my life also, and our role, like my role, you can put yourself in that role also and visualize your this thing also. So what is my role in this overall scheme of things? क्या होता है वो and how do I play it? This is what I wanted to find out, like what is my role in this overall scheme of things. This is what I wanted to find out when I was studying in my early years at SEPT, which we have already talked about, but in third year, Ahmedabad. Thus started my search, explorations, which initiated my solitary wanderings and ponderings. They taught me so much. They taught me that to enjoy such extempore journeys, acceptance, patience, and tolerance are crucial. These three things are very crucial: acceptance, patience, and tolerance. And especially, just imagine India 54 years back, 55 years back almost. That time we needed more tolerance, more patience, because of the journeys, the kind of journeys that were available, and all that. This was my most important learning. These wanderings taught me to accept life and its events as they unfolded. They taught me patience, to give these events their own time to unfold. They also taught me tolerance towards these events, which could unfold in any manner whatsoever. So when you're traveling and wandering like this, these are the things which I learned also, to accept things as they come in life. Second was patience. Patience is actually very important in life, and they also taught me tolerance towards, because I didn't know how events would unfold, because it was not a very exactly planned journey and all that. Another important contribution of these wanderings to my life was that I learned to live with the unpredictable. Nothing was predictable. I didn't go with bookings and this and that. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't know. Suppose if I liked a place for a longer time, I would stay there for a longer time. Then I would move ahead. If I didn't like it, I would leave in 1 or 2 days. मिलिंद बघायच नोट करते क्या तुम्ही अच्छा अच्छा इज राइटिंग राइट इट्स ओके गो अहेड कंटिन्यू so live with the unpredictable and with the insecurity that it breeds. I could overcome this fear of insecurity, because I've been talking to you people. I mean, most of you are hesitant to come out of the comfort zone. Most of you feel insecure. If I do this, what will happen? Will I earn enough? What will my parents say? What will my colleagues say? Is it right? Is it the right thing to do? So all these kind of things are happening in your mind. So that is so common in our society today, this insecurity. I would rationalize what I would do that time, and since then always, I would rationalize that the worst thing that could happen to me, what would be the worst thing that could happen to me would be my death. And that in any case is inevitable. It will happen, it's going to happen any time. So why should I be afraid of going there, doing that? It's a very beautiful quotation. It's worth, I mean, I don't know whether you have time to note it or not. Death is not the greatest loss in life. Very beautiful. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we are alive. Very beautiful. It's got Norman Cousins. The greatest loss is what dies inside us when we are alive. They also taught me endurance, physical as well as psychological. Long walks, climbs, stressful, difficult journeys, harsh climates, undesirable, obnoxious characters, and happiness. So we are talking about these wanderings and ponderings, which I felt very, very necessary then, and I did them. But nowadays I'm content to find a few days a month with myself at my lake house. Instead of traveling to a distant place, I tend to agree with what Franz Kafka wrote. Franz Kafka was a very famous existential novelist. He wrote a beautiful thing. He said, "You do not even have to leave your room. You do not even have to leave your room. Remain sitting at your table and listen. Do not even listen. Simply wait. Do not even wait. Be still and solitary. The world will freely offer itself to you and be unmasked. It has no choice. It will roll its ecstasy at your feet." Because then at that stage you start realizing that the world is also within you. So you don't have to seek outside stimulus all the time. Even by being yourself and in yourself, you can connect. I started understanding that happiness isn't a place you get to. Happiness isn't a place that you get to, it's an inner state that you create. That is why I'm happy even if I'm in one place nowadays. So most importantly, I learned to listen to my heart, my inner voice. The spontaneous natural fallouts of listening to this holistic voice of divinity have been these 5 main, crucial, indispensable guiding dimensions in my life. We'll see the 5 dimensions. Actually, I could have had a slide of that, but then it's okay. First one is oneness and empathy with nature, with the realization that we are an integral part. The second one is compassion for everyone, as all are part of this wonderful unity of life. Third is Sanyam, simplicity with Sanyam or restraint. This happens when one experiences the fullness of life. It's again, if one experiences fullness, then this simplicity and all this follows. Honesty and truthful living, honesty and integrity, as the need for untruth disappears. Because there's no greed, there you don't want more and more and more. So there's no need to be dishonest, there's no need to manipulate. So honesty and truthful living. And the fifth one is silence and solitude, to abide in that fullness while the muck of thoughts settles down. When the muck of thoughts settles down. So that is why what has happened is my life directions, actions have always been guided by these 5 dimensions. They are my heart's true calling, which have evolved from my understanding of this world. Thus, decision making for me is extremely easy and smooth, as I heed the advice of these 5 friends. To give you an example, like I was asked, why don't you start a branch in Mumbai? Actually, when we were doing that, they were asking us to start a branch in Dubai also, work in Ras Al Khaimah, or Goa also they were asking me. But then I thought to myself, would this improve my solitude and silence? No. Would it make my life more simple? No. Would it bring me closer to this oneness of life? Not necessary. So then, if anything any question comes, like, should I do this? Should I come and build a house here? Yes, because I have all these things. All these things are saying positive, giving a positive response. Yes, then it's easy. It's very easy in life to take a decision and not be like this, because one is sure about what one really wants out of life and what life wants out of you, both ways. Any description, any decision, any decision that would enhance and add value to these 5 things would be accepted and taken forward. Anything that hampered and devalued any of them would be rejected, however tempting it might be. Just take a look at these 5 things one by one. Oneness and empathy with nature. How should I live to be in harmony with it? By living as an integral, minuscule strand in this wonderful, all-expansive web of life, and by living in the oneness of nature, how can one prevent again I am repeating the same thing. Our master asked his students, how do you prevent a drop of water from drying up? How do you prevent a drop of water from drying up? And the master himself replied, by throwing it into the sea. Then the drop becomes the sea. No? So it's the same thing with us also. Like if we remain like a drop, then we may wither away, But if we become the fullness and wholeness, then we become the sea. No? We become the. You will see a number of examples of my empathy with nature in my houses. Now, as well as in my other designs on 20th afternoon. Then compassion for everyone. When one lives in this fullness and interconnectedness of life, compassion happens for everyone and everything around us. More smiling, less worrying, more compassion, less judgment, more blessed, less stressed, more love, less hate. Also happen. As Roy Bennett puts it. I started realizing the full meaning and relevance of what Samuel Mockbee says. He says that he is an architect actually, but he says that in architecture our goodness is more important than our greatness, and our compassion more eventful than our passion. Very beautifully put. Then the third one was simplicity and Sanyam. Voluntary simplicity is a natural outcome of this feeling of oneness and fullness in life. Some of these things would be repeated because at different contexts we are talking about simplicity, different contexts we are talking about this oneness. It is not reached as a goal, but as one approaches the true meaning of life. नाहीतर मुद्दाम simplicity करायची म्हणून you don't go towards that, but it simplicity happens when you go closer to the true meaning of life. With true voluntary simplicity, a rich life is no longer equated with the possession of. I read a beautiful book in my long back, about 40-50 years back. It's called a book called Waste Makers by Vance Packard. He has written 2-3 books, The Status Seekers, The Waste Makers, and in that book he dedicates to his parents. And in the beginning he writes, I dedicate this book to my parents who did not confuse a good life with the number of goods they had. Wow. Very, very simple. They did not confuse a good life with the number of goods they had. So that is what simplicity is, That's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. This is said by Steve Jobs of Apple. That's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. Just think of it. To make something simple is very more difficult than just going with the complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it. And in the end, worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. This is by Steve Jobs. It is the essence of genius to make use of the simplest ideas. I have Lao Tzu, again we talked about Lao Tzu yesterday, the famous, the old Chinese saint. I have just three things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These three are your greatest treasures. Looking at the manner in which man and technology have progressed in the past century, the eminent explorer, adventurer, Thor Heyerdahl, whom we saw, the guy who made the reed boat and traveled across the Pacific, and he says that borders, I have not seen any. They say there are borders, but I have not seen any borders, he says, though he has navigated so much, So he says, progress is man's ability to complicate simplicity. We say we are progressing, developing. We can also put development there. Progress and development is man's ability to complicate simplicity. There is beauty and clarity that comes from such simplicity that we sometimes do not appreciate in our thirst for intricate solutions. We'll just take a look at a small video. Simplicity, another beautiful thing is, simplicity is making the journey of this life. Simplicity is making the journey of this life with just enough baggage. Not too much, too many things.
What's in the box? Whatever it is, it must be pretty important, because I've traveled with it, moved it from apartment to apartment to apartment. Sound familiar? Did you know that we Americans have about 3 times the amount of space we did 50 years ago? 3 times. So you'd think with all this extra space, we'd have plenty of room for all our stuff, right? Nope. There's a new industry in town, a $22 billion, 2.2 billion square foot industry, that of personal storage. So we've got triple the space, but we become such good shoppers that we need even more space. So where does this lead? Lots of credit card debt, huge environmental footprints, and perhaps not coincidentally, our happiness levels flatline over the same 50 years. Well, I'm here to suggest there's a better way, that less might actually equal more. I bet most of us have experienced at some point the joys of less. College, in your dorm, traveling in a hotel room, camping, where you got basically nothing, maybe a boat. Whatever it was for you, I bet that among other things, this gave you a little more freedom, a little more time. So I want to suggest that less stuff and less space are going to equal smaller footprint. It's actually a great way to save you some money, and it's going to give you a little more ease in your life. So I started a project called Life Edited at lifeedited.org to further this conversation and to find some great solutions in this area. First up, crowdsourcing my 420 square foot apartment in Manhattan with partners Mutopo and Javoto.com. I wanted it all. Home office, sit-down dinner for 10, room for guests, and all my kite surfing gear. With over 300 entries from around the world, I got it, my own little jewel box. By buying a space that was 420 square feet instead of 600, immediately I'm saving 200 grand. Smaller space is going to make for smaller utilities, save some more money there, but also a smaller footprint. And because it's really designed around an edited set of possessions, my favorite stuff, and really designed for me, I'm really excited to be there. So how can you live little? 3 main approaches. First of all, you need to edit ruthlessly. We've got to clear the arteries of our lives. That shirt that I haven't worn in years, it's time for me to let it go. We've got to cut the extraneous out of our lives, and we've got to learn to stem the inflow. We need to think before we buy. Ask ourselves, is that really going to make me happier? Truly? By all means, we should buy and own some great stuff, but we want stuff that we're going to love for years, not just stuff. Secondly, our new mantra, small is sexy. We want space efficiency. We want things that are designed for how they're used the vast majority of the time, not that rare event. Why have a 6-burner stove when you rarely use 3? So we want things that nest, we want things that stack, and we want to digitize. You can take paperwork, books, movies, and you can make it disappear. It's magic. Finally, we want multifunctional spaces and housewares. A sink's combined with a toilet. A dining table becomes a bed, same space. A little side table stretches out to seat 10. In the winning life edited scheme in a render here, we combine a moving wall with transformer furniture to get a lot out of the space. Look at the coffee table. It grows in height and width to seat 10. My office folds away, easily hidden. My bed just pops out of the wall, 2 fingers. Guests move the moving wall, have some fold-down guest beds. And of course, my own movie theater. So I'm not saying that we all need to live in 420 square feet, but consider the benefits of an edited life. Go from 3,000 to 2,000, from 1,500 to 1,000. Most of us, maybe all of us, are here pretty happily for a bunch of days with couple bags, maybe small space, hotel room. So when you go home and you walk through your front door, take a second and ask yourselves, could I do with a little life editing? Would that give me a little more freedom? Maybe a little more time? What's in the box? It doesn't really matter. I know I don't need it. What's in yours? Maybe, just maybe, less might equal more. So let's make room for the good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. There are a few videos, but we don't have time. But where a small space is videos where the small space is converted into so many different things, which you might have seen also on YouTube. But it has so many advantages, like and when you simplify your life and reduce your possessions, you spend less, you have less stress, so many things which we talked about also. The next point is integrity and honesty. Integrity is telling myself the truth, and honesty is telling the truth to the other people. When again talking about the same thing, when one sees oneself as this fullness of life, that basic attitude is very important to allow things to fall into space, Then with that comes contentedness, the desire to have more and be more drops off. Then the need to be dishonest and manipulate disappears. In today's society, they say that it is not possible to work, transact and live with genuine honesty. Because of the society is so bad, it says that it is not possible to live with honesty in today's society. But my experience is different. Corruption can end when there is no mismatch between one's rightful earned income and one's spending. If one's spending is more and rightfully earned income is less, then we want non-rightfully earned income, like corruption, because the spending is more and you have to match the spending with the income. We need to learn to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains. Politicians are afraid even to suggest this, living as if there is no tomorrow. Self-restraints and self-denial have become antiquated values in this got mine culture of the me civilization. I call this the got-mine culture of the me civilization. Silence and solitude. One has always cherished those moments of silence and solitude when one can connect to one's own self as well as with this universe, when one can ponder, re-examine one's journey, or just be still. I remember even as a child of 6 years, 5 to 6 years, when we used to go on a family picnic and trip and all that, I used to enjoy with them singing and this, that for some time and gossiping. But after some time, somehow, I don't know why, even then I used to slowly slip out and go and sit somewhere by myself. And once during that such a outing in Panhala, my father, when I was sitting, I didn't know, my father clicked this picture. क्या हो गया? Click this picture, and he had written this thing there. And I don't know why I was doing that, because of after seeing calendar pictures or something like that. But then this is what I used to do, and I used to go out and sit. And later on, this has continued, and that is this is the Gagan Bauda, Nadavde, Devgad, and this place. They are all the same thing, like withdrawing from there and being by myself. This was my favorite place in that above Walalkar. There is this Padgaonkar building, Walalkar shop is below. Yeah. Above that there was this gallery, and there was this seat there, and this was my favorite place to sit. And I could even I would have different kind of visions. And I always needed this kind of a place. Like this was Gagan Bauda. Immediately after my graduation, like around your age. This is Nadavde. This is part of a film. Otherwise, nobody has clicked my picture like that. This is Devgad. I could sit here in the evenings and even watch the sunset in the sea here on this side. So this was, and this is the seat. I am sitting here right now on that. And this is Andur, which you have seen here, lake place. So it's always good to have some place like that. Even in the city also, you could have some place, some tree that you like, some balcony that you like, or whatever. So this Jean-Paul Sartre, another famous existential writer, he says, if you feel lonely, and if you are lonely when you are alone, then that means you are in bad company. Very good, no? If you are lonely in solitude, if you are alone and if you are happy, it's good. But if you are lonely, if you feel lonely, if you are alone, if you are alone, then you are in bad company, because in your own company, no? That means your company is bad for you. I never found a companion that was as companionable as solitude. Henry David Thoreau, Walden. Contemplation, introspection is an alternative consciousness that refuses to identify with or feed what are only passing shows. It is the absolute opposite of addiction, consumerism, or any egoic consciousness. Consumerism is the corruption of the human soul, which this guy also talked about, shopping. Consumerism is the corruption of the human soul. It stops us from thinking about significant issues. In the US, because they don't have place to keep their stuff inside the house, there's so much stuff. Actually, we should have, even in New Zealand, we saw a place where we were staying with. There's a whole big garage, they keep the cars outside, and the whole garage is full of stuff which I don't know when they use. Stuff. So much. Like in US, they have warehouses rentable spaces where you can keep your stuff there. If you're not using it, why keep it? And that is why he was talking about that so much space being used for storage only.
2.2
Billion square feet, yeah. So this consumerism stops us from thinking about significant issues. These journeys also taught me to enjoy solitude. Loneliness expresses the pain of being alone. Loneliness expresses the pain of being alone, and solitude expresses the glory of being alone. So there's a difference between loneliness and solitude. So if you're feeling lonely, you are in bad company. If you're feeling happy, then you're in good company, and it glorifies that. One can be instructed in society, but one is inspired only in solitude. Goethe from Germany, German writer. One can be instructed in society, but one is inspired only in solitude. My solitude gave rise to some understandings which got expressed through some of my poems, like this one, Stillness. In our civilization's labyrinth motion, I search for the motionless still center. Every movement done to reach the stillness breeds more momentum. Our quest for outer happiness deprives us of inner bliss. Aiming at peace through violence today breeds more violence tomorrow. Wars I'm talking about. Running away from sorrow brings us closer to sorrow. Seeking satisfaction through the act of possession creates greater dissatisfaction. All arguments to find a solution take us further from the solution.
Next.
Sorry. All arguments to find a solution take us further from the solution. Most knowledge cannot reach the unknown shore. The river contains less when it fills up more. Mind is movement, with thoughts always restless. Only the center is motionless. Desire is movement, with the urge for having. Only love is unmoving. Time is movement, the past, present, future tussle. Only now is eternal. All is always now. Love is here and now. Stillness is here and now. All my life's decisions and actions have their source in these above 5 guiding principles which we discussed. My decisions to build and live in my various retreats, their designs, etc., were all governed by them, as you will see in the following slides. These may be a little repetitive for you, but for them they are new. Like we talked about my first house on the mountain top. This is the Sahyadri Western Ghats. My house was here, and I had a tree at the edge of the house on which I had made a deck, and I used to take my afternoon siesta there. But see how information gets distorted, because that was the age of the hippies, and I was 23, 24 years old, and so a word spread in Kolhapur. Arey, Beri's son has become a hippie, and he's living on a tree. Living on a tree. That rumor spread. But then you have to learn to face these rumors also when you do something different. That's the house which we have already seen, and we have also seen my companions there, my space, with whom I shared the space, with the panther, with the lizard and all that. Then this was at Nadhavde, because actually what happened was, when I was staying at Gaganbauda, when I was around 30 years of age, I was nominated for a fellowship at Princeton University in US. I didn't know who had nominated me, but I suddenly get a letter from Princeton University saying that you have been nominated for this fellowship and we would like you to apply. and for this Woodrow Wilson School of Public Affairs, for that fellowship. Now, and what would you like to do here in Princeton? So that time I was toying with this idea of a alternative lifestyle. So in which I would like to consult a sociologist, I would consult a psychologist, I would consult a architect, I would consult so many people I wanted to nutritionist and various people to consult to create this different kind of a lifestyle. So I wrote that full thing and sent it to them, and in that when I was staying at Gagan, when I was staying here, in that there was a line, what are your plans for the next 10 years? I had never thought of it. I didn't have any fixed plans. So then when I started thinking about it, I started thinking of having this sustainable, because of the kind of society that we were living in, I started thinking of having a sustainable, self-sufficient lifestyle where I could have lived self-sufficiently on that 5-acre piece of land, on a small piece of land. So I said I would like to work on that model of self-sufficiency when I'm at Princeton University. Fortunately, unfortunately, it didn't happen because they had to select only one fellow from entire Asia and I think Australia also. So they wrote to me that okay, we like your whole pro forma, your biodata, this that, but it is difficult for us to give you so many resource persons to work on this issue, subject of self-sufficiency, because that would imply interacting with so many people. So that fellowship didn't come through. Because it didn't come through, I started thinking, let me try this in reality here. So I started looking for land in Konkan, 5 acres. I saw a number of pieces and finally gravitated on this particular piece of land. This piece of land with these beautiful mango trees and all that. The reason was the water there. The bird life there was fantastic. Mansi used to spend a lot of time watching birds there, and she got interested there. And we had a stream running past, and it's a continuous perennial stream, so there's a lot of water. And then we started living a life, a happy life there. I used to spend almost 10 to 15 days, 10 to 12 days there. Mansi and my daughter Purna used to spend almost 18 days or in a month there, because they, and that was how it started. Like we made our own edible oil, we had our own grains, we had our own fruits and our own fish, crabs and all that. So these were the trees, and these were very beautiful old columns which you see here. These columns which were discarded by the temple, wooden columns, carved wooden columns, which I bought from the village and used them here. We first located these 5 trees and then designed the house in such a way that it became a part of that. The bedroom opened out onto that a small stream there, here. So this was the house before the tree and the greenery grew more. These are the early picture. Sorry, I forgot to show you that we had a swimming pool here. A swimming pool which cost us 2,500 rupees to construct that time only, because we didn't do tiling and all that, So we excavated, and I checked on the angle of repose of that soil. The angle of repose of that soil was that. So we kept the walls like that and did pitching, stone pitching with mud mortar. But later on we washed it and we plastered it with waterproof plaster, everything, and small thin concrete flooring. But we were living like I used to lie down on my small, that pneumatic raft and read a book there, maybe sometimes have some beer when Milind came there or something like that. So, there is one picture with you giving a glass of it. So, so it was like a millionaire's life with very less money, and you don't need so much money to live a happy life. So this was the pool, and what happens was this water was not wasted. At the lower level, on that side, on the other side, we had the areca nut and coconut plantations. So we would, when we washed out the pool after using it for a few days, we didn't have a filtration plant. So when we washed it out, then it irrigated our coconut garden and areca garden. Like this. Again, the front, that open space, that space did not have any walls, because our climate in India allows us to do that. See, these are those pillars, beautiful pillars, with carving on top. And so this was our living space, dining space, sometimes additional bed space, like this space. This is an extension of that space. This space is here, that open space. Actually, earlier I had my studio here. I used to work here. But then when I shifted to the beach house, we started renting this place out like Airbnb. But we didn't have Airbnb then. We started renting it out to people who like to stay in nature like that. So that's why we created these mattresses. This was our bedroom at the lower level earlier, which extended out onto that small stream there. Streamlet, actually, it's not a stream. The stream is here, the big one. That's me bathing in it, and I used to have a bath there many times. Can you see? And that's the pool, our swimming pool. And that's the major stream, the real stream, and this is that place where I was sitting under this tree in that earlier picture. This was a very beautiful place to sit and listen to the sound of the frothing stream. And I shared the space with these guys there. There are wild boars there. And then these Malabar pied hornbills had nests in some of our trees, and not in my property, but outside. You know how they nest? Do you know about them? The Malabar pied hornbills. And they used to come to my field. You have seen them. And they used to come and eat our papayas and our fruit and all that. And I used to talk to them. Like that in there. And I would watch, and they would also respond. So how they make a nest is very interesting, is that the female, when she is about to deliver, both of them find a good hollow in a tree, dolly, hollow in a tree, and then the female goes inside. First of all, she goes inside, and then the male, and even the earlier part, the female also, they close that hole with mud, clay. They bring the clay in their beak, and then tip, they would close the hole till there is only that much slit available. That much slit is there. And so the female sits there with lays the eggs and incubates the babies, and the male goes and feeds the female as well as the babies. He brings food for both of them. Once when I was there, we were moving around with some friends of mine, and one guy got a little excited, So he, doctor, he climbed up a little bit, because we thought that there was a nest there from the mud and all that, and from the nearby hornbill population. So he went up there, and he was just, fortunately his finger was there. His finger was there, bit blood. The female inside, with those big beaks, and that through that thin slit, she would pluck it, barabar kata. Fortunately, he didn't put his head face in front, आग भी चला जाता. Dr. Ravindra Vora. Then we had this wonderful paradise flycatchers and many other. I could identify about 100 types of birds, which I knew. 100, we made a list of birds, over 100 species that we saw. And this is the Russell's viper. There's an unfortunate story behind this is that Mansi, when I was not there, Mansi was moving around in the farm and she unknowingly stepped on it and she was bitten. Very dangerous. It has about 4 times the poison that a cobra has, and a cobra is neurotoxic. This is hemotoxic. It destroys your kidneys. So that's what happened to her. She was then taken to Kolhapur, Miraj, and then flown to Mumbai. She was in Breach Candy Hospital. I think I was telling you other day. Breach Candy Hospital that time, and on dialysis till her kidneys recovered. Then some other complications happened. So almost for a month she was there. Anyway, so when we came back, that also I told them, but this for others, that when we came back, people used to laugh. Laugh in the sense that, हाँ अभी अच्छे हो गए. I mean, now we will not go back to another day. Now we will not go back to this thing. But then both of us would reply, it is more risky and more dangerous to get killed by crossing a street in Kolhapur or in Mumbai or Pune than by getting bitten by a snake. So the chances are very few. There are more chances of getting run over by a car in the city. So we continued staying there we stayed there almost for 25 years. I had a fascination for the sea and the beach and for swimming. So I managed to find a small piece of land here on the beach side and constructed this house. There is a poem on that in the book, if you in the Devgarh section, about joy. There's a poem called Joy. Towards the end, there are these four houses, my sketches of these 4 houses and poems on these 4 houses, which we are talking about now, are shown. That's the view that we got from the house. There are these existing trees here and some here. So we made a meandering path between the 2 casuarina trees into the house. The house had to be closed here because of the weather there and the storm and the rains. There was a veranda here, but then the living dining was a closed space. We had a lower level here, so when we came out from the sea after a swim, we could come have a bath, change into dry clothes, and then come up into the house. This was my studio at the upper level. This is the same house in the larger context. It was almost like a private beach because there was nobody else there and nobody came for swimming. I mean, the villagers would come there for the evening walk or something like that. But so see, the pathway goes through this, between these 2 trees. These 2 trees were existing. The pathway goes like this between the trees. So every time I entered the house, these are the different pictures of the house from different sides. This used to be a place for my early morning cup of coffee. This is the tree which we had planted, the plumeria, safa, which has grown quite tall now. And then it was like architecture or experiencing the space is not a oculocentric experience. It's not just a vision experience. It is a multisensory experience. Like when I sit here in this space, this architectural space, I have the sea breeze blowing against me, the tactile experience. I have the smell of the sea breeze and smell of the plumeria here. So that olfactory experience. Then I have the experience of the sound, the sea waves crashing there on the beach. So think of an architectural space and architectural experience as a multi-sensory experience. Don't think of it as a only a visual experience. It's much beyond the visual. That's why if people who think of it as visual only have these elevational compositions outside, with ACP cladding and glass, and उतना ही करते हैं. So these are the trees. So whenever I entered the house, I would, they were just right, that size. So I could touch them and say hello to them, every time I came. And every time I went out, I would say bye-bye to them, So I developed a very good rapport. And even later also we have gone and stayed there sometimes. And it's so nice to meet these old friends. This was a tree outside the house on which the white-breasted sea eagle had made a nest. Very beautiful, huge nest, bigger than this, big nest. And it was, we placed this window in such a way that it was framed from inside. So it almost becomes a live painting. It looks different at different times of the day. In different seasons, it looks different. This was the living space. That's the kitchen. And that from that window, Mansi could see the sea straight. And these are those two trees from where we entered. We entered from here. And the interesting part of this was our bedroom was up here. Bedroom and my study, my office was up here. And this space could be converted into three different things. Like this was the living room. When we wanted to eat, we would pull these cushions nearer, and this became the dining space. And when we had some guests, then we would remove the table and the bolsters here, keep them here, and join these cushions. We joined these cushions, and it became a big mattress, and so it became a bed space also. So this is sustainability, where you can, instead of having separate rooms, separate places for different things, if the same space can serve many things, many functions, then automatically you use less resources. You have seen this, that was from here I could see the sunset and the sea very beautifully. And from the kitchen also, Mansi could see the dolphins frolicking in the sea, in November, December, this time of the year. And a very fascinating phenomena happened in the sea sometimes. It's called phosphorescence, where the whole sea lights up because of the phosphorescence. And when the waves crash, they become look like this. So whenever this used to happen, I would see it, I would go and jump in the sea in the night. So beautiful. It's one instance in a lifetime experience. Have you experienced it? You have
Very there during our college days.
But that time this was there?
It was there. What we did was, we were so fascinated by this. वहीं पे सो गए, literally.
नहीं, अंदर नहीं, अंदर जाने का, पानी में you go into the water.
Yeah, and you could see
when you go into the water, you're but this hand glows like an angel, your body glows. And when you come out of that, you have these small microorganisms, luminous microorganisms on you. Bioluminous,
Isn't that poisonous? Because somewhere I read it is poisonous.
Sorry? No, I have drank it also. Because when I went swimming, वो पानी तो मुंह में जाता ही है. वो जिसको कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर नहीं आना ना, उसको पॉइजनस ही है.
So this is seasonal, right? This is seasonal?
No, not any time it can happen, but no fixed timings. I don't know when it happens.
Luckily, when we were there, it happened.
Good.
Amazing experience.
Yeah. And this is the, sorry, I got this again. This is that huge nest of the white-breasted sea eagle. This is not on my tree. This is some other pictures which I have tried to show, express here. So while living like this and all that, it's like I wrote this poem, loving everybody, I miss nobody. The joy within feels the joy without. A full life has nothing to fulfill. Being nowhere, one belongs everywhere. Nomad.
Yeah.
How beautiful is this detached attachment? Being separate and belonging to at the same time. This attachment, possessiveness, and uh, can really make one's life miserable also. Then this was, of course, Andur, that's the house, and this is the Shama's house below, boat jetty. The plan generated by the view of the lake from all sides. The hill slope was like this. The hill slope was like this, and we cut the hill here and put that mud here to cut and fill balance. This was the place earlier after we did the cutting and filling on the lawn. Babi ओळखलं काय? काय ओळखलं? Huh? Adnan. Adnan come for the line out. Their son. He's now married, he has a baby. And this same place before, and this is what is now, framed in the living space. The pillars growing bigger and bigger, gaps reducing till becomes the house. Now everything has grown more. I mean the plants and trees. This is not Bidu. This was the earlier dog called Vau. Last night we found some time to sit out here for some time. Virendra and me, we were waiting for Swati, but Swati didn't want to come. She went and slept. She was tired, I think. Last night. This you have seen, so I'm not going to talk much about it. It's Mansi finding her space there. Fortunately, I mean, I've been doing all these things and following, going to these different places. I've been fortunate to have Mansi because she also has similar likings to it. She likes nature, she likes simplicity. So, we could live together and carry on and enjoy our life. This is from the upper floor. That's the bathroom, and the heliconias are in bloom. This time when you came, they were not there. They are normally in bloom earlier. This is my evening place, and this is the place where we have sometimes sat and designed also in the winter sun. You can guess, you can recognize, no? Huh? Sikandar and Milind sitting here. And these, I share my space with these people. There are some birds and there are deer around. This is that baby monitor lizard which fell inside the bucket, and these are quite commonly seen around here. This guy is also there. I do not know what my life would have been if I did not have these beautiful natural places to pause and spend a few days by myself, working, wandering, growing plants, sitting quietly, getting recharged and rejuvenated from nature's silence. This silence has been more precious to me than all the additional money that I would have earned in the big city during those quiet days spent at my retreats. Like if I had spent those days in a hectic way in the city and all that, I would have earned a little more money. But these days are more precious to me than the money that I would have earned. Living my life in the constant company of these five intangible friends, there has not been a single boring moment in my life. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. But you'll have to find your heart first in this hurry-burry of life, you know. I have realized that life's all about striking a balance, a dynamic balance. That means we need to get the head and the heart working together as teammates. Live in a way that's wise and yet kind, practical yet spontaneous, courageous yet caring, responsible yet passionate. These seem to be opposite things, paradoxical things, but we need to strike the right balance. Each one has to strike his right balance, and both are important in life. Like I've mentioned in my book also, that the longest journey that I have made, in spite of all these wanderings and ponderings all over the world, the longest journey that I have made or that I am making is from my head to my heart. You know, that's the longest journey. So live in and appreciate the measurable and the immeasurable, the visible and the invisible, the finite and the infinite. Respect and enjoy the utilitarian as well as the non-utilitarian. Like people say, what's the use of this art? You know, wrong man in the workers' paradise of Rabindranath Tagore's story we were talking about yesterday. It takes effort and time to get this balance right. I still struggle with it myself on many days. But with commitment and patience, it will all come. Believe me, it does come. So in such a degraded social scenario, what can I do to change the picture? We saw so much corruption, so much problems, so many ills, so much sickness everywhere around. मैं अकेला क्या करूँगा? What would I do alone? That is what the normal excuse which people give every time. Most people whom I talk to, what to do? The society is like that. We tend to follow it. So changing the face can change nothing, but facing the change can change everything. No one can go back and change a bad beginning. No one can go back and change the bad beginning, but anyone can start now and create a successful ending, at least for yourself. It does not matter how long you are spending on the earth, how much money you have gathered, or how much attention you have received. It is the amount of positive vibration, like love, kindness. It is the amount of positive vibration you have radiated in life that matters. So that change you can bring about. That is what something you can do. Radiate those positive energies. The more you clean up your inner world, the more beautiful your outer world will be. There's a small story which you might have heard also. Like once there is a big storm, and such a big storm and this thing, and problem that lot of fish are thrown on the beach. And thousands of them beach have piled up on the beach. And then there is this guy who is going out for a walk on the beach. He's walking, and he sees one guy there standing there amongst the fish, on the beach, and he's picking up a fish and throwing it into the water, picking up a fish, and because the fish is struggling, so he wants the fish to survive, so he picks it up and throws it into water. So this guy who's walking, he's laughing at him. Arey, what are you doing? You know, so many fish here. What difference can you make? You know, to this? So that guy looks at him. He catches one fish, shows it to him, throws it into the water. It has made a difference to him, he says. It has made a difference to him, that fish. It has made a difference to this fish. So this is the attitude we must have in life, not surrender and give up in front of this society, which is there. Do your thing, do your thing. Whatever little you can do, do. Each one of us can make a difference. Maybe a small positive difference. When we work or act, can we shift our emphasis from me to we also, which we talked about yesterday? Elite performance in career and in life is all about the promotion of personal accountability. This is very important. You don't have to be accountable to others, but personal accountability is very more important. It's about keeping the pledges you have made to yourself. You make some promises to yourself, some pledges to yourself. Keeping them is being accountable with yourself. It's essential to honor your self promises to live an honorable life. And you maintain a trust account with every person in your life. This is also there. You maintain a trust account with every person in your life. Whenever you interact with someone, you are either making deposits or withdrawals. How? Every time you follow through on a commitment you have made, let's say I have told Milind that I would do something for, and if I follow that commitment, that means I have made a deposit. If I don't stick to that commitment and tell a lie, then I have withdrawn my account from my account. So we have to enrich each other's accounts through our actions, through our ethics or whatever. So every time you follow through a commitment you have made, every time you take a moment to say thank you, every time you show real interest in someone, and every time you authentically help another is a deposit. So can our thinking and action bridge the integrity gap? Have you heard of the integrity gap? Simply stated, the greater this gap between who you are on the inside or your true self and the way you occur on the outside or your social self. So the integrity gap is the gap between what you truly are within yourself and what you try to show to others outside. तो उसमें जो gap होता है, that gap in between, the greater that gap, more unhappy you will be. The greater that gap between your inner self and the outer show and outer this thing, more unhappy we will be. As Ashley Montague noted so many years ago, the deepest personal defeat suffered by human beings is constituted by the difference between what one was capable of becoming and what one has in fact become. I have also seen and felt this gap between our thought world and the action world. Do we have the courage to bridge this gap? It can be bridged only when authentic unlearning happens. I was in Adyar near Chennai. I stayed in the Theosophical Society campus for about 20 days, on a retreat, wrote a lot of things. And that time I used to wander onto that Adyar beach, and Adyar beach has a river, the Adyar river, and on the other side is Chennai. So, and there was a bridge there which was broken and half done or something like that, long back, this was almost 30 years back. So that has prompted me to write this poem. The Adyar, where did that go? I made a mistake, I think. No, sorry.
We missed the lay, sir.
We missed lay, and before showing lay, I came to this adhyar thing. We missed lay. Sorry, we missed the last house, the house in the city, which you will see next time. It was because there are many reasons for leaving our city house, which is in a prime area. Because we wanted some funds for our fund, our human equity and dignity fund, we wanted some funds. So we sold that our ancestral house. I sold it to my brother only. So we sold it and we shifted to this property here on the outskirts of the city, which was sloping like this so much, and we input. Normally, what happens is when that house was big, the ancestral house was big. So we moved into a smaller house, a 1.5 bedroom house we have now, and with a servant's quarter. So normally, what happens is when people build a new house, they build a lavish thing, big thing. And when they build a very big thing, they increase the inequity in the society. So here, what we wanted to do was to reduce the inequities by using that money from that house for the fund for the poor people. And we could live in a more compact and a more eco-friendly house, because the earlier house was old. It was very energy guzzling, the one in the city, my father's house. So here we built a house that was as self-sufficient as possible, and which did not require to cause much damage to Mother Earth. That means most of the materials that we used in this house were old materials, recycled materials from old houses and old places. So we did that also. We could live a more eco-friendly way, in a more eco-friendly way, with minimum footprint on earth, and we could also use that money for our fund. So this was the house plan. We will not go into the details now, but we used the slope in such a way that we got a servant's quarter here, domestic helps quarter, and we also got a large rainwater harvesting tank here at this place at this point. So this is some old bricks and old, not a single tile used on this house is new. All the tiles that were discarded by different people when they broke their old houses were brought. Some old windows and doors were used. Like this window is used here, one of them. These tiles are painted again. We use waste torch steel pieces which are lying on all our sides. We use them for making our gate, as well as the entire fence. Entire fence was made in that. We used a half cut bamboos to as a filler slab for the lower portion. We used these hollow waste PVC pipes we cut and use them for as a hollow slab also, as a filler slab. Then we used the steel that we used for the slabs was all bought from the scrapyard. This was used somewhere else by someone. When the house was dismantled, we got the steel out and we cleaned it and used it. There was no problem. We used all these structural members were all brought from the scrap market. So those new steel was smelted for us. No new tree was cut for us, because we used wood from these old buildings. This is from Andur. We got this wood from Andur and we used it for flooring here. This door frame was also from a house in Andur, which was demolished, the dilapidated house, and this was going waste. So we bought it from this guy and used it for our main door. Yeah, we added a extension here. So I mean, it was not for saving money. It was for the satisfaction of living in a house which has not caused more damage to the earth, Mother Earth. That's the house. We planted all these trees around. Now it's become quite a wooded area. That's our Kolhapur dog, Shubhra, earlier. All the water from the roofs was collected in this gutter and taken down this pipe into the rainwater harvesting tank at this level below the living room here. There's a big 30,000 square liters tank. Supervisor. Supervisor. Then we have a small fish pond there, and then there's a stone. Most of our houses we have a stone where Mansi draws a rangoli every day. Actually, we have 2 books on rangoli also, which I'm not shown here, but so does her rangoli every day to welcome the new day and to welcome the guests in the house, as she says. That's the rangoli area. There's a different rangoli here. Even the flooring inside the house is made from waste pieces. We would go to these flooring tiling wala people and ask them whether they have any waste pieces which they don't need. So they would take us to a yard behind with all the broken pieces of tiles. Maybe some of them were big, some of them were small. So all of them were used to create the flooring in the house. That's the dining space, which opens out onto the sit-out area. Dining, living. Even the tiles in the toilet, they are all, there are 8 different types of tiles in this toilet, because whatever we got, as I tell people, beggars are not choosers. So I was asking them for tiles. So I got different types of tiles. Only thing we chose was it was in the same color range, I mean the same color family. So whatever piece we got a small piece, we got a big piece, we cut it into rectangles and used it. The sunrise and the moonrise that we see from our house there. Now so many trees in the house, windows in the house are meant to display plants and to have plants there. This is our bedroom in the winter and rainy season, because and we close the door here. There's a balcony here, and this is our bedroom in the summer, where the temperature outside is almost 22 degrees in the morning, early morning. So we don't have an air conditioner in the house, so we adjust our so that we are quite comfortable with this arrangement. We need a shawl in the morning, or a small thin razai in the morning because of the cold, even in summer. And we see, like people talk about a 5-star hotel, 7-star hotel and all that, we sleep here in an all-star bedroom, Yeah. When we sleep here, the all stars are there. It's an all-star bedroom we sleep in. We have solar, photovoltaic cells, but now we have increased it, Sikandar Milin, for your information. Ashar tula mahit hai? We put about 2 kilowatt solar panels on the house now, and this is the solar inverter, where the solar energy is also stored. And now we are selling it back to the government, to the MSCDC. Solar cooker, then all our green kitchen garbage goes into this, so that it can be used as manure later. But it was used earlier. Now we have other cans, different cans, but similar. Like we had earlier, we had better sunlight when that next door house was not built, and so because of that we had to plant those big trees, and because of big trees now the shade comes in. So now we don't have that many. The vegetable garden is less. You can see a gourd here, dodka, and papayas growing here. And our friends here, and this guy is from Kolhapur. He had come to meet them in Andur. And this one used to come and sit on my when I used to draw her on my drawing board. Both of them are good friends in Kolhapur. She comes and licks his. This is the earlier one, but the present one is similar. She comes and licks his mouth and all, licks the face of the dog. He gets it done. The fish. We used to put these थोड़ा यूज़ किया हुआ वेसल्स इधर रखने का. You keep these vessels and the fish eat the leftovers to some extent. So we need less soap to clean clean this thing. We have peacocks there. They are in our Kolhapur house. Very good peacocks. Then we put this bird bath, and the birds come and have a bath there. One thing I've seen them like these animals and birds seem to be more disciplined than us. Like, when there's a simple small blazing place, people would rush, one behind the other, or in a bus, or in a wherever train or something like that, the baby rush. Here there are four or five birds. One would be having a bath, the other would wait here, sit here, one after the other. Only when he finishes, the other one would go. Nesting, tailor bird, nesting. So after that we come to that. We took. Sorry, we went a little ahead. So we'll see this Adyar footbridge poem. Adyar poem. It is the incomplete deteriorating bridge, a bridge that starts to bridge but never reaches the other shore. One shore has the philosophy, goodness of thought and glorious past. That is Adyar, the Theosophical Society. The other, Chennai, has the day-to-day action, an ever-accelerating pace, and an apparently gloomy future. Later I learned that part of the bridge had collapsed due to poor construction. How appropriate that corruption of the human mind is not allowing the bridging of past and future. How the corruption of the human mind is not allowing the bridging of philosophy and action. So now polluted, troubled waters flow beneath. It is said and believed that once the bridging occurs, the waters will turn clean. When? So let us start bridging these two gaps, at least in our own personal lives, and see the difference.
Next slide.
Yeah. See the difference. Besides this, it is also very important to ascertain that we are using all the means available to us in the appropriate manner. See, there are so many ladders there. It doesn't matter how many resources you have. He has scores of dozens of ladders. But if you don't know how to use them, they will never be enough. One ladder, if it was put straight, it would have been enough. But this is what happens in our lives. We are not using them in the right manner. I mean, resources. How far are we? आज ज़्यादा टाइम हो गया थोड़ा. Is it okay if you are a little late? 10, 15 minutes. You are staying. You are going a little late only. So tea can be brought here also. Our values decide the day-to-day choices that we make in our lives. So what is important, and these choices, I mean these values decide our priorities in life, like what is important and what is not important, whether I should do that or whether I should do that, whether I should go by cycle or whether I should go by bus, whether I should go by air or whether I should go by bus, whatever. So these priorities and how we take care of them are very important. So I had written this poem called Priorities. It's just a matter of priorities. To own 5 square feet of commercial space at Nariman Point or 5 acres of natural wilderness in the Konkan. Both cost the same. I chose the second. Like the money that I had, I would have bought 5 square feet of space at Commercial Point, at Nariman Point, in Mumbai. But I could buy 5 acres of that space in Konkan. It doesn't matter, it's a matter of choice. Join the money making rat race in your imported air conditioned, air freshened BMW on a busy, noisy, neon lit high street, or withdraw onto the slow lane with shady trees and chirping birds, working with love, joy, and compassion. Both the possibilities are always open. I opted for the second one. Yes, a matter of attitudes, one's idea of enjoyment. To sip scotch with the social glitterity in gaudy, gossipy, glamorously cluttered gazebos, dressed in perfumed imported designer clothes. Or it could be a naked dip in the roaring seas, a walk amidst fragrant blossoming trees, and a quiet uncluttering of one's inner spaces. The choice is ours, the superficial or the intrinsic. So you have to decide, each one has to decide. Very, very important in life. Always a matter of priorities on approaching life's summation through the crowded world of information with numerous communication medias, each with its own phobias, and or approaching life's diversity with thoughtful value-based priority and with an empty mind's innocence that can transcend all turbulence. Both the categories exist. Yes, these are the very priorities that shape our societies and help us tackle daily realities. I'll show you something. This is a little disturbing, but I'll show you what happens when the priorities are different. Like my priority was to live with nature, sort of harmonize with nature, not to be conspicuous, camouflage, and merge with nature and live a simple life here. And we would be talking about inner space and outer space. We design the outer space, but our inner space, which helps design the outer space, is important, which we'll talk about on 28th, last day. But see, I sold this place to one person, and when he was alive, he had kept it okay. I mean, but when he said he died of a heart attack, and his son was very different. His inner space was very different. His priorities were different. And he would use this place for the wrong things, maybe. And also, so then a few years ago, I went to see that place, and I had almost tears in my eyes. Same place, with changed priorities. For him, the trees were money. These trees were going to get him money. Maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, whatever. But how much? And he thought that these trees, because the mangoes were falling on his tiles and the tiles were breaking, he cut the trees. I thought the trees, I mean, I thought when the mangoes used to fall on my tiles and I used to change my tiles, I would happily do it. Because I used to say, this is the tree tax that I am paying. I am paying this tax to the trees, you know. They are giving me shade, they are giving me beauty, they are giving me birds. They are giving me fruit, very beautiful, good fruit. But this is what he did, cut all the trees. See this space and see what has happened. No, yeah, they have come there and worked there, lived there, stayed there.
The best house we've ever seen. This was the. We were inspired by this place.
This owner is not using the house.
Are he was using for some time for just for parties and booze and all that, you know. But then And even in my first house, what happened, that house also experienced different vibrations, because the first house, the A-frame house on the mountain top, the animals sensed that it was a safe place. So the panther would come and stay there, the monitor lizard lived in my house, the lizard came and talked to me. But when I sold that place to a guy, I didn't know he would use it. He was fond of shikar, hunting, Praveen Gadge. And they used to kill so much things, rabbits and partridges and birds, and have those huge pots and cook them there, and all that. That whole place became different. Look at this. No, they are not, I mean, no, I called him, he says, nahi kaka, thamba tumhi, आम्ही बघा आता किती चांगलं करतोय. I don't know what he is going to do. चांगलं आता झाडं तोडलेली कधी चांगली होणार आहे. How will the trees grow again? And then it is a 100-year-old trees.
How can we people so insensitive? At least
But most of the society is like that, Milind. This is one example that I am showing you.
आपल्या आसपासात पण ठरलीत की
हां नाही नाही खरं किती आहेत असे तेच सांगतोय मुलींना खूप आहे सगळे परवा मग तू यू शुड हॅव कम अँड सीन माय प्रेझेंटेशन फॉर द स्टेट ऑफ टुडेज सोसायटी ते पण रडायला होतं आणि त्यात वी हॅव टू स्टे इन दिस सोसायटी अँड स्टे क्लीन दॅट इज अवर चॅलेंज हाऊ कॅन वी डू दॅट वी नीड लॉट्स ऑफ गट्स लॉट्स ऑफ करेज लॉट्स ऑफ इनर कन्विक्शन lots of compassion, lots of kindness. Without that, we can't survive in this society. So, these priorities can decide a simple thing like what toothpaste we use and not use, or whether we divorce your spouse or not divorce your spouse or business partner. You know, so it can, the range is large. Suppose we have a surplus amount of money like 1 crore rupees. Now it depends on your priorities in life as to what you would, how you would use it. Let's say this 10 million rupees, 1 crore of rupees. Either somebody could put them in bank savings, mutual funds, pension schemes, insurance, stocks and shares, or somebody might buy a high-end car, a 1 crore worth of car. Somebody might go on very expensive exotic vacations. Somebody will buy exotic, expensive jewelry. Somebody might go gambling, casinos. Again with the greed and with the desire to earn more. He may lose it, but he'd do that. Somebody might build his own dream house. Some corrupt politician may use it as a garland. 2,000 rupee note. That time we had 2,000 rupee notes, and this entire garland is made of 2,000 rupees. You wrote. I think it is almost worth 1 crore rupees. But what we decided, because of our priorities in life, was to use that those 10 million rupees. Now we have spent much more than that up till now, and we have some more left also for future spending. Like this fellowship comes from this. This fellowship is also coming from this. So fund for the needy people, that means people who need money for education, operations, health, various things. The environment which is neglected, derelict, we create open spaces or develop open spaces or plant thousands of trees, or for good education. This is part of good education, according to me. I don't know whether it's going to be, how good it is going to be. Then for good health, or from research, or even for culture. Like sometimes there's a good film festival happening in Kolhapur. This fund gives money for that, for the film festival also. Or some young upcoming artists, try and buy some works from them, you know. So the choice that you make has its source in your life values. Life values, I would come to another word for that, is your inner space. talking in terms of architecture, we have the inner space, which is the Chidakash or the Chitakash, and the outer space, which is the Bhutakash. Both are always working on each other, which we will talk about on 20th, of course. Appropriate values can only surface when there is stillness and silence in your life, about which we have spoken a lot since the last 2-3 days. So that is why, for me, the measurable or the rules are circumstantial. Rules are made, different rules are made for different places. So rules are circumstantial, values are timeless. Values are timeless. Even while following your heart, you will encounter so many hurdles, delays, mess ups. But you must remember that every single thing that you hate about your life, remember that every single thing that you hate about your life now, every single thing that irritates you in your days, and every single thing that causes you stress is a very important teacher. Is a very important teacher. The things that you dislike about your life, your irritations and your stressors are all nothing more than vehicles that carry the lessons you need to learn to move ahead, to evolve in life. So look at your difficulties, look at your these things as lessons. What Swati encountered in the early stages, maybe also I have encountered in different ways, but I'm not telling you all these things. Just know that life is this extraordinary growth school, and everything that happens to you is quite divine. It is a very amazing setup. Really, the way this intelligent universe of our works, you will not understand how it works. You know, I still don't understand. But then it has its own ways of working. But you have to allow that thing to work upon you. I mean, you should open yourself up. Each one of our lives, I realized, has a glorious beauty, gracious beauty to it. The sad times improve us and lead us to the good, while the good times show us the fullness of our possibilities and offer us the blessings to be appreciated. And I also realized that nothing very good or very bad ever lasts for very long. And life is so wonderful that for me, I think it seeks expression in so many different ways. Through paintings, through poetry, through architecture, through films, through farming, through this fellowship, and so many things, you know. So, these are 2 submissions of the fellowship. This is Swati's submission. It is like a book she has made and given to me. It is there with me. So you also, at the end of the fellowship, are required to submit some deliverable. So that is why whatever you are writing now, whatever you are going to experience, what you are going to ponder upon, or your poem or something, all these things are going to make up your own booklet. So that is a precondition of this fellowship also, that at the end in March, visually you will present something for only less than half an hour, but otherwise you present this. This is a very interesting document which Swati made, and this is another one which a recent fellow from SEP made, Vikas Gajera. He is now in Canada, and he realized that he had the storytelling knack, and he would write stories, and he's written many stories in this, and some of his stories have been published in Canada now. नाही मनोज बरोबर मिलाप होता बहुतेक मिलाप टीचिंग मध्ये गेला होता. We conducted one workshop here earlier, unlearning workshop for professionals. Milind and Asher and Prathamesh were part of it. Anuja is sitting here. Then decided to share my knowledge and share my experiences through these 2 books. And there's another 3rd book called Rangoli, which I have not mentioned here. We had a couple of exhibitions, Search for Wholeness. This was way back in 98, 99. And this has traveled the whole country, and the digital one has traveled in different parts of the world. This has traveled in other countries also, and also in India. Urmi. We made these 2 films, and the third one is in the making. We don't know what title it will be. So, which we did together with Virendra. So, begin to do what speaks to you, begin to do what speaks to the passionate kid within you. We talked about the wonder which a child feels, at looking at things. Begin to do what speaks to you, speaks to the passionate kid within you and makes you laugh so hard your belly hurts. Rediscover the things that move you and bring tears to your eyes. After all, the place where tears are brought to your eyes is the place where the universe wants you to be. Not melodramatic sad tears. I am talking about other tears. To end my talk, I would read out 3 of my favorite quotes. One I have already mentioned. Please do not confuse a good life with the number of goods you have. Remember them in all through your life. Very beautiful. I have done that. Then please do not measure your life. Please do not measure your life by the number of breaths. Please do not measure your life by the number of your breaths, by the moment, but by the moments in your life that take your breath away. Do you understand? So, work for this. And the third one is by a great artist, a Mexican artist, a lady called Frida Kahlo. And she used to say, "Viva la vida." She had a bad accident in her teens. All her bones were broken and all that, And they put her in a cast and all that long back, and then she recovered. But she had problems. But she used to express her misery or express her life through her paintings. Viva la vida means long live life. Long live life. Thank you. अरे तो तालियों की जरूरत नहीं था वो अभी पहले